I stand on the crowded trading floor of 1929, sweat prickling beneath the brass lamps, the drone of tickers swirling like hornets. Every quote spits across the tape faster than breath. Prices lurch skyward, greed foams in every cheer, yet a knot tightens in my gut. Certainty the elevator's cable is fraying. A runner elbows through with a fresh strip, another record high. Men punch the air, eyes glazed by sudden wealth. I reach for my notebook, the leather cool, and write 3 words. Patience breeds power. I close my eyes half a heartbeat, replaying 1907, the screech, the avalanche, the chance. Euphoria, I learned, is always the final warning. When my lids lift, the room seems narrower, the walls breathe. I am no longer chasing jackpots, I am stalking inevitability. Each uptick is another shuffled step toward an unseen cliff. Across the pit, a broker waves, begging for more shares, cufflinks flashing like flares. Under his grin, I glimpse panic, the hiss of future ruin. The tape hesitates, one downtick, small, almost polite. Click, click, click. 3 red prints. The herd misses them, but I don't. The moment lodges in my ribcage. The market just exhaled. 10:15. In 17 minutes, my sell orders will slide into the current, silent knives hidden among balloons. I have rehearsed the sequence all night. Tranche, pause, confirm weakness, double. No predictions, only reactions. The crowd trusts the rising sun. I watch the lengthening shadows beneath it. Another cheer erupts. Bethlehem Steel breaks yet another peak. Applause cascades, but triumph trembles inside shaking hands. A second red dash flickers. My pulse slows. The market's heartbeat stutters like a drunk leaning off the curb. This breath is history's hinge, the stillness before the avalanche. Opportunity tastes like iron. I uncap my pen, sign the orders, and slip them forward. Euphoria blinds. Discipline sees. I choose sight. Newspapers flutter, cigars flare, jokes fly. I smell overconfidence, the perfume that precedes disaster. A clerk boasts a motor car bought on margin. Another wagers lunch that stocks double by Christmas. Their laughter gilds the silence in my mind. I inhale once, anchoring to the maxim in my ledger. The tape tells truth. Rumors rent costume. Let the crowd dance. When the rhythm falters, I act. It is faltering now. I rewind to Peabody, 1891, chalk dust settling on my vest as I copy wheat quotes outside the broker's window. The ticker spits numbers like Morse code, every twitch alive beneath my fingers. Markets breathe. Inhale of hope, exhale of fear. Farmers blame drought, millers curse freight rates, but price is only their collective pulse. At 16, I haunt bucket shops, risking pennies earned sweeping stables, logging each tick in a ledger the size of a psalm book. Patterns return like migrating geese, charting a quiet to opportunity. $40 becomes $1,000, then half evaporates when I ignore my own stop. Humiliation becomes my tutor, ego the weakest limb. New York, 1901, secondhand cuffs, raw ambition. Marble pillars disguise fragility. Clerks panic at whispers, tycoons beg for quotes, faces gray when margin calls bite. October 1907 proves the theory. Credit tightens, presidents vow stability, yet the tape bleeds. I short Union Pacific and watch the street collapse like a burned circus tent. Fortune lands cold and clinical, branding this law onto bone. Fear is predictable, greed repetitive. By 1920, I have weathered boom, bust, exile, and return. Strategies age like splintering wood, so I trade less on patterns, more on liquidity's undertow. Experience writes its warning in scar tissue. The market forgives nothing, but it repeats everything for those who take notes. November 1928, ticker carpets gutters like confetti. Speakeasies thrum with saxophones and stock tips. A bootleg gin costs less than 1 share of Radio Corporation, yet no one buys gin. Everyone buys shares. Cab drivers quote dividends. Barbers forecast Dow 400. Margin clerks extend credit before the ink dries. I pace Wall Street, ears open, eyes half shut, listening for cracks beneath the brass band of euphoria. Clerks stagger under order slips. Runners snap at each other, exhaustion courting error. On the exchange balcony, a veteran specialist grips the rail, knuckles white as chalk. A rookie beside him buys every uptick, grin widening with each tick higher. Distribution begins quietly. Insiders unload to late-cycle dreamers drunk on permanence. Bethlehem Steel hits a record. I test a small short, a single needle against a carnival balloon. The market pops it instantly, rises 2 more points, mocking caution. I cover, note the tape's verdict, and wait. Thanksgiving week. Call money jumps to 15%, yet brokers open new offices in amusement parks. Ticker spools drape trash cans. Children trade baseball cards for hand-drawn stock certificates. I chart new highs shrinking while volume swells, strength handing the baton to recklessness. On November 28th, Senator Glass warns of speculative fever. Headlines bury the quote beneath holiday recipes. I dine alone, boiled vegetables and weak coffee, rereading journals from 1906. Parallels glow like embers, heavy insiders, thin reserves, public intoxication. December 1st, I spot a downtick in leading rails on record volume. No panic, only a cough in the orchestra pit. I jot, first crack disguises itself as clearing throat. By noon, the dip is erased. Papers label it a healthy correction. At close, I walk south to Battery Park, gulls swirling over dark water, Manhattan towers gilded by sunset. I flick a coin into the harbor, counting ripples, 5, 6, 7, before they fade. Each ripple is a retail hope bought on margin, doomed to vanish beneath the next gust. I whisper a vow, patience until gravity speaks in sentences, not syllables. Turning north, I blend into evening crowds buzzing about certain riches, carrying with me an unshakable certainty that certainty itself is the final warning. January 1929 dawns brittle and bright. I rent a bare room near the exchange, one iron bed, a desk, a single lamp. Each morning before the bell, I circle the floor 10 slow laps, breathing cadence into discipline, chanting the creed. Anticipation kills, confirmation pays. Sheets of overnight cables pile on the desk, gold flowing out of Europe, commodity prices softening. Yet New York trades as if Olympus has annexed Wall Street. Leaders stall while second tiers sprint. Strength passes its torch to recklessness. Call money scales to 15%, but brokers peddle leverage like penny candy. I test short probes. 10% size stops tight as violin strings. If the tape shouts disagreement, I slice losses without a grimace. Ego is a luxury only amateurs finance. February drips with contradictions. Automobile production sets records, yet steel capacity slips. Copper inventories swell, though headlines trumpet scarcity. I tally insider sales at a decade high, volume thinning on rallies, swelling on dips. The orchestra still plays, but brass clashes with woodwinds, melody morphing into warning. By early March, my threshold triggers, 10 consecutive sessions of heavier downside volume. Liquidity breathes shallow, spreads widen, then snap shut to lure bids. I scale positions across 8 firms under odd-lot camouflage, 20,000 Bethlehem, 10,000 General Electric, 5,000 Radio, each tranche timed to tape, never prediction. Charts curl like drying parchment. Beneath the ink, I feel gravity tightening its grip. Sunset bleeds over the Hudson on March 31st. I close ledgers, note the count. Short exposure at 50% of allowable risk. Capital intact. Conviction crystalline. I extinguish the lamp, leaving the city to its chorus of celebrations, fully aware that brass bands sound sweetest just before the floor collapses beneath the dance. March opens with rain slicing Manhattan alleys and bankers' nerves alike. Call money touches 20%, a fever reading no one admits aloud. Rumors of rail layoffs circulate, dismissed as gossip even as freight indexes sag in plain view. I dispatch runners to scatter additional shorts, Bethlehem, Montgomery Ward, Radio, orders thinly sliced coy in daylight. Mid-March, a midday reversal erases a morning surge. Volume triples on the slide. Brokers label it profit-taking, but I count balance sheets hemorrhaging cash. Liquidity wheezes. Insider whispers grow hoarse. I record in crimson ink, dumb money now owns the last chair. April brings Senate hearings, grilling utility barons. Shares dip, recover, yet insiders unload in blocks. I mirror their exits, doubling size whenever a rally stalls within the hour. By month's end, my composite short rivals 1907's tally, but margin stands modest, capital preserved for storms, not sprinkles. May drifts sideways like a becalmed schooner. Volatility compresses, spring coiled within silence. London raises rates, European gold flows homeward. The tape quivers, recovers half, then sinks again. I add to autos, to chemicals, to five and dimes that flourish only in fantasies. A young analyst corners me for a forecast. Survival, I answer. His pencil hovers, uncertain how to spell caution. June broods humid. Ticker paper sticks to sweating clerks. Each reluctant advance narrows in breadth, new highs declining even as the Dow inches upward. Sunburned gamblers brag of doubling margins by the seaside. At night, I pour whiskey and log their bravado, surest omen of surrender. Early July, call money spikes to 22%. On the third trading day, steel fails a 3-day pivot. 2 points against me, 5 points with me. I secure half, roll the stop. Risk management outlives profits. The Dow touches 381 on August 12th, fireworks of headlines declaring peak of prosperity. I'm awake before dawn next day, adding one final tranche as Asian markets wobble unnoticed. A Bermuda hurricane scrapes the coast. Barometers fall in Wall Street boardrooms too. Commodities droop, rail loadings slump, yet rooftop dances persist. 6th of August, a midday reversal erases morning euphoria. Volume quadruples. Glass cracks. Crowd applauds louder, unaware. I jot, first thunder tremor. Then I wait, motionless, patience sharpening like a fisher's hook in dark water, certain the storm's eye will soon pass overhead and peel the skyline bare. Timber creeps in on soft shoes, yet the tape crackles with hidden friction. Labor Day headlines hail an economy invincible. My notebook counters with figures. Rail freight down 6%, copper stocks at a decade high, call money hitting 24%. Brokers scoff. Credit addicts seldom recognize overdose. Second week, Dow edges sideways, while new lows quietly double new highs. Each rally arrives on half the prior day's volume, each dip on double. Market breadth rots like fruit beneath waxed skin. I pair no positions. Instead, I knit patience into armor, recording every divergence in meticulous ink. Mid-September, British gold outflows swell, sterling staggers, yet Wall Street shrugs. I recall 1906, foreign tremors precede domestic quakes. I raise cash reserves, resisting urge to gloat. On the 18th, tape hesitates midday, a fractional slip dismissed as lunch hour drift. I note the time, 12:47 p.m. History often stamps warnings invisibly. Autumn heat breaks on October 1st, humidity replaced by brittle air and brittle sentiment. Dow rallies 6 points on thin turnover. Papers proclaim bears routed. I smile, adding a whisper-sized short in Montgomery Ward. 3 sessions later, the gain is gone, replaced by a 4-point void. Specialists widen spreads, then abruptly narrow, courting the last buyers. Liquidity feels hollow, like tapping a wall and hearing the echo of a hidden chamber. October 15th. Pronounced sell-off rips through utilities, then steals, then radios. Margin clerks phone frantic, customers vanish. The next morning, a relief rally lifts half the loss. I unload another tranche into the bounce, footprints still invisible among the stampede. Tape stutters an ominous rhythm. 2 red, 1 green, 3 red. Heartbeat of an exhausted bull. Friday, October 18th. Chicago grain pits implode on rumors of bank distress. Wheat falls the limit, yet New York equities barely flinch. I scratch one terse sentence. Equities last to know. That night, I lock office drawers. Ledger balanced, risk plotted, resolve sealed. I walk the silent exchange floor after close, marble echoing under solitary steps, sensing history coiling like a spring beneath polished stone. Sunday night storm clouds hunch over Manhattan, lightning forks behind spires, illuminating gargoyles grin frozen on rooftops. I cannot sleep, nor wish to. At 3 a.m., I pen the final directive. No more ads. Observe. Act only if the tape screams. Dawn will break on October 21st, and I will greet it with coffeed nerves and steady breath, standing at the brink where caution ends and the avalanche begins. October 21st, 1929. Dawn leaks through soot-stained windows, pale as convalescent skin. I pace the office, no papers, no music, only the clock's dry metronome echoing my pulse. The tape printer waits, mouth sealed before the scream. Yesterday's final note glares from my ledger. Momentum dead, gravity inherits. Opening bell, stocks sag 2 points, an ordinary tremor. By 10, decline doubles. By noon, bids dissolve. Calls slam in. Cover? Double? I answer none. Outside, crowds swell, faces pressed to glass, searching for mercy that numbers will not grant. I trim nothing. Risk measured, conviction absolute. 2 brokers stagger past, ties askew, whispering rumors of banker support. I watch the tape. 3 consecutive downticks in Bethlehem, 4 in steel, radios gapping fast. Liquidity thins by the heartbeat. Somewhere a telephone bangs, a pistol crack of capitulation. 11:30, an anemic rally claws back 1%. Applause erupts too eagerly. I sell into the uptick, parcels disappearing like seeds in gale. The recovery dies inside 20 minutes, replaced by freefall. Floor volume erupts, clerks losing count, chalkboards smeared by frantic palms. At 1, a partner grabs my sleeve. Is this the crash? I meet his eyes, bloodshot, rimmed with panic. No, I answer, only the first breath out. He pales, releases my coat, and vanishes into the roar. Closing bell rings with the futility of a spent hymn. Index off 6%, yet the room feels emptier than the number. I jot a single line. Avalanche has loosened. Nightfall drapes Wall Street in silence, broken only by sirens ferrying fainting speculators to hospitals. I stride past reporters clawing for quotes, offer none. Under flickering lamplight, I tally unrealized gains, columns tall as ruin's shadow, but thrill muted, replaced by clinical calm. Discipline remains sovereign. Emotion, a luxury denied. I extinguish the lamp at 11 p.m., leave the office smelling of ink and dread, aware tomorrow's dawn may swallow today's horror whole. Walking into chill air, I breathe once, steady, certain that history has only begun to write in red. Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929. Streets swarm before sunrise, men gripping coffee like life jackets. Newspaper boys scream crash, but disbelief muffles the echo. Inside the exchange, opening bids vanish. Some stocks fail to trade for minutes, then reappear $10 lower. Chalk dust clouds the air as clerks erase prices too awful to read twice. At 11, a banker phalanx marches onto the floor. Morgan, Whitney, Mitchell, top hats polished like shields. They pose at the trading post, pledge $25 million, buy a token block of U.S. steel at 205. Applause erupts, hats fly, hope blossoms frantic and false. I watch from the rail, arms folded, recording the tape. Uptick on half volume, downtick on triple. Recovery lasts 28 minutes. Steel slips below the banker's print, goals shatter like sugar glass. Brokers curse under breath, runners collide, order slips swirl across marble like autumn leaves. My sell orders drip into the frenzy, invisible knives in a stampede. Liquidity thins with every gasp. Stop orders trigger cascades, each spill louder than the last. 1:30 p.m., widows' stocks, utilities, phone companies implode, the supposed sanctuaries breached. A floor governor pleads for calm, his voice cracks, swallowed by roars. I jot, faith diluted, panic concentrated. Another bank delegation appears, cheeks flushed, hat checks trembling. Their capital looks smaller than rumor's appetite. 2:15. Tape lags full minutes behind reality, printing chaos in slow motion. Overhead gallery throngs chant prayers and curses indistinguishable. A broker near collapse asks, "Where is the bottom?" I reply, "Where fear forgets numbers." He laughs like a cough, staggers away. Closing bell clangs metallic despair. Dow ends off 11%. True damage hides in leveraged wreckage still unmarked to market. Outside, policemen rope off curb to keep speculators from spilling into traffic. A gray-haired investor sinks to his knees, hat rolling gutter-bound. I step past, notebook shut, certain tomorrow will demand deeper ink. Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929. Streets swarm before sunrise, men gripping coffee like life jackets. Newspaper boys scream crash, but disbelief muffles the echo. Inside the exchange, opening bids vanish. Some stocks fail to trade for minutes, then reappear $10 lower. Chalk dust clouds the air as clerks erase prices too awful to read twice. At 11, a banker phalanx marches onto the floor. Morgan, Whitney, Mitchell, top hats polished like shields. They pose at the trading post, pledge $25 million, buy a token block of U.S. steel at 205. Applause erupts, hats fly, hope blossoms frantic and false. I watch from the rail, arms folded, recording the tape. Uptick on half volume, downtick on triple. Recovery lasts 28 minutes. Steel slips below the banker's print, goals shatter like sugar glass. Brokers curse under breath, runners collide, order slips swirl across marble like autumn leaves. My sell orders drip into the frenzy, invisible knives in a stampede. Liquidity thins with every gasp, stop orders trigger cascades, each spill louder than the last. 1:30 p.m., widows' stocks, utilities, phone companies implode, the supposed sanctuaries breached. A floor governor pleads for calm, his voice cracks, swallowed by roars. I jot, faith diluted, panic concentrated. Another bank delegation appears, cheeks flushed, checks trembling. Their capital looks smaller than rumor's appetite. 2:15. Tape lags full minutes behind reality, printing chaos in slow motion. Overhead gallery throngs chant prayers and curses indistinguishable. A broker near collapse asks, "Where is the bottom?" I reply, "Where fear forgets numbers." He laughs like a cough, staggers away. Closing bell clangs metallic despair. Dow ends off 11%. True damage hides in leveraged wreckage still unmarked to market. Outside, policemen rope off curb to keep speculators from spilling into traffic. A gray-haired investor sinks to his knees, hat rolling gutter-bound. I step past, notebook shut, certain tomorrow will demand deeper ink. Scene 9. Weekend interlude. Headlines thunder doom. Sunday churches overflow with prayers for Monday miracles. I walk Central Park, leaves brittle and crimson underfoot, sparrows scattering at each crunch. A paper boy spots me, eyes wide. Sir, they say you're the man winning while everyone's losing. I shake my head. I'm only listening while others shout. Helmeted policemen patrol bank doors. Whispers of runs swirl like starlings over rooftops. Bread-lined shadows already stretch beyond mission steps, the odor of boiled cabbage drifting into avenues once perfumed by optimism. In the hush of Trinity Church, candles flicker against stained glass. I kneel not to pray but to observe silence itself, a contrast to the trading floor's roar. Back home, I reread diaries of 1907, marking parallels in crimson ink. Confidence evaporates fastest when borrowed. Beside it, I add tonight's corollary. Credit today is confidence squared. Sirens wail distant. City lights glaze windows like cold sweat. Sleep arrives thin and jagged, laced with echoing bell clangs and the rustle of ticker tape that no longer prints hope. Black Monday, October 28, 1929. The bell rings and the Dow gaps down 9 points before traders draw a full breath. Tape jams, restarts, spits carnage. Steel off 15, radio down 30, utilities in freefall. Bids disintegrate midair. Clerks clutch phones gone mute. I route fresh sell orders through Chicago outposts, bypassing jammed New York lines. Quiet blades sinking where panic thrashes loud. By midday, the chorus shifts from bravado to bargaining. Turn around, brokers plead, hollow eyes fixed on slipping numbers. One grabs my sleeve. If it rallies, we live. I meet his desperation with calm. If it rallies, I reload. Hope shatters in his gaze. He releases me to chase a phantom bid that never lands. Closing bell clangs like a coffin nail. The Dow ends nearly 13% lower, floor littered with torn slips and unanswered prayers. Outside dusk swallows Wall Street, sirens weaving through stunned silence. I tally unrealized gains, astronomical columns that feel as distant as star charts, then snap the ledger shut. Discipline, not delight, escorts me home atop fortune's fragile peak. Black Monday, October 28, 1929. The bell rings and the Dow gaps down 9 points before traders draw a full breath. Tape jams, restarts, spits carnage, steel off 15, radio down 30, utilities in freefall. Bids disintegrate midair, clerks clutch phones gone mute. I route fresh sell orders through Chicago outposts, bypassing jammed New York lines, quiet blades sinking where panic thrashes loud. By midday, the chorus shifts from bravado to bargaining. Turn around, brokers plead, hollow eyes fixed on slipping numbers. One grabs my sleeve. If it rallies, we live. I meet his desperation with calm. If it rallies, I reload. Hope shatters in his gaze. He releases me to chase a phantom bid that never lands. Closing bell clangs like a coffin nail. The Dow ends nearly 13% lower, floor littered with torn slips and unanswered prayers. Outside dusk swallows Wall Street, sirens weaving through stunned silence. I tally unrealized gains, astronomical columns that feel as distant as star charts, then snap the ledger shut. Discipline, not delight, escorts me home atop fortune's fragile peak. Scene 11, Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929. Dawn gray and breathless. Newspapers still wet with last night's slaughter vanish from kiosks in minutes, headlines screaming in inch-high ink. The opening bell unleashes pandemonium beyond imagination. Orders to sell at any price flood the pit like a breached dam. Some stocks collapse 30% within the first 10 minutes. Others fail to find a bid at all. Tickers stutter, jam, restart, hopelessly behind the falling blade. Brokers wave slips like surrender flags, mouths forming numbers no ears can hear. My reduction orders, placed pre-market, fill effortlessly, buyers ravenous for exits, blind to doom. Amid the cacophony, I stand motionless, breaths measured against the irregular heartbeat of the tape. Mid-session, a ragged rally coughs upward 2 points. False dawn. I sell the remaining fragments into its brief glow, ink drying before the uptick dies. By 2 o'clock, the Dow has forfeited another 20 points. Faces on the floor resemble wax left in sun. A partner, trembling, asks if I am out. Protected, I answer. Not out. He nods without comprehension, eyes hollow. 3:30. Closing bell strikes like a funeral toll. The index records the greatest single-day collapse in history. Outside, cameras flash as reporters claw for quotes. I offer only 6 words. Humility is compulsory. Tuition just rose. Flashbulbs pop. I vanish into the falling twilight, pockets heavy with cash, soul heavier with the knowledge that lessons paid in other men's ruin yield the loneliest profit. Evening, Sherry Netherland penthouse. Chandeliers glitter like frozen fireworks above grim bankers clutching crystal glasses of untouched champagne. Morgan, Whitney, Mitchell crowd a mahogany table strewn with ledgers that bleed red ink. They beg for a roadmap. I offer psychology. Crowds oscillate between greed and fear. Leverage amplifies tempo. The fall ends when those who chased riches pray only for survival. A junior partner proposes coordinated buys at tomorrow's open. His voice wavers, eyes glassy. I sketch a curve on linen napkin, hope's brief flare before deeper void, and slide it across. Silence spreads, thicker than cigar smoke. Someone mutters about closing the exchange. Another suggests government intervention. Capital suddenly feels smaller than rumor's appetite. I sip water, clarity's beverage, decline the champagne. Wealth buys admission but cannot purchase serenity. The room's gold leaf and velvet drapes stifle like a padded cell. I excuse myself, leaving their strategies drowning in opulence. Elevator descends 50 floors, brass numbers blinking downward like the Dow. Lobby lamps cast long shadows. A porter whispers, "Will it end, sir?" I answer, "When lessons outweigh losses." Outside, rain needles pavement, neon flickers over deserted sidewalks. I walk toward Trinity steeple, cutting the gloom, notebook dry beneath coat mind already drafting tomorrow's discipline, while others gamble on hope. I wander to Trinity Church graveyard, stone angels eroded yet steadfast. Beneath them I tally a mental ledger, capital multiplied beyond ambition, caution multiplied again. Convert to cash, settle debts, safeguard anonymity. Success invites parasites. I kneel, fingertips tracing granite dated 1807, a panic long past yet familiar. Markets recycle despair, tombstones recycle names. I vow a modest townhouse, hidden study, minimal staff. Fortune must be sheltered from ego's return. Numb, nocturnal. I wander to Trinity Church graveyard, stone angels eroded yet steadfast. Beneath them I tally a mental ledger, capital multiplied beyond ambition, caution multiplied again. Convert to cash, settle debts, safeguard anonymity. Success invites parasites. I kneel, fingertips tracing granite dated 1807, a panic long past yet familiar. Markets recycle despair, tombstones recycle names. I vow a modest townhouse, hidden study, minimal staff. Fortune must be sheltered from ego's return. Scene 14. Final trade settles October 31st. I wire proceeds into government bonds, Swiss francs, bullion locked in a Quebec vault. Brokers protest, easy rebound. I ignore. Greatest danger follows greatest victory. Halloween night, children laugh masked as phantoms while adults shuffle like ghosts burdened by vanished wealth. I drop silver coins into a trick-or-treater's sack. Generosity, not guilt. Watch the boy's eyes widen at treasure minted from panic. Back home, I seal 12 thick notebooks tracing the rise and ruin of 1929. The last page reads, I conquered the market only by conquering myself today. I extinguish the lamp, leaving the room in hush. Beyond the window, autumn wind rattles shutters like distant tickers, still whispering of fortunes that dissolved in a single breath. November 1929. The exchange reopens after the holiday. Prices bob 10% higher. Headlines trumpet corner turned, yet the tape whispers exhaustion. Each uptick on half yesterday's volume, each downtick on double. I liquidate residual fragments, then ascend to the visitor's gallery to observe greed's echo. Hope inflates faster than credit can finance. Pawn shops bloom. Diamond rings share shelves with railroad bonds. Bank lobbies reek of anxious leather. In speakeasies, speculators toast a rebound, glasses clinking like brittle shells. I sip water, sobriety sweeter than gin. A young clerk boasts, Dow 500 by Easter. I meet his stare, see a boy wagering rent on rhetoric, and answer only with silence. I retreat to a rented Long Island farmhouse, gulls replacing ticker bells. Dawn patrols the dunes, boot soles crunching frozen sand, waves erasing footprints in minutes, fortune's impermanence sketched and scrubbed by the tide. Evenings by the hearth I catalog residue, thrill of being right, chill of being alone in rightness, danger of believing prescience permanent. I reread Marcus Aurelius, temperance, humility, cyclic fate. Prophets sit idle in treasury bills, yet mine tugs toward new conquest. I feel hubris's first itch masquerading as opportunity. I chalk a warning on the mantle. Past triumph is not future edge. December drifts sideways. Friends lobby me to re-enter, flattery honeyed. I smile, pour tea refuse. Patience wears no laurels but compounds quietly. Snow dust shutters, wind taps panes like muted bells, metronome for restraint. Hope's relief rallies breed complacency. I note each pulse, serene atop the dune, watching tides obey the moon, not mortal optimism. Congress advances the Smoot-Hawley tariff. Markets shrug, but commodity traders flinch. I reappear on Wall Street more spectator than predator. Tape shows rallies lacking pulse, advances reversing on whisper volume. Friends speak of bargains. I study global freight rates collapsing, copper warehouses overflowing. Liquidity recedes like a tide, exposing coral of bad loans. Boredom gnaws at discipline. Idle capital craves friction. I test along in U.S. Steel. Thesis logical, conviction lukewarm. 2-point gain stalls to flatline. I exit for crumbs, chastened by mediocrity. The thrill is gone. Only habit remains, and habit is dangerous. I draft a rule. Engage only when edge rings louder than desire. Until then, guard the gate. Drought scorches Midwest crops. Railroads report half-empty cars. Financiers host yacht parties, clinging to last year's script. I attend one aboard a gleaming cutter, linen suit crisp, jazz loud. Below deck, I glimpse ledgers bleeding red ink. A hostess leans close. When does it turn? I answer, when illusions finish dying. Her smile wilts. September ushers fresh declines. My notebooks thicken with autopsies of failed rallies, bond spreads, sentiment gauges. Each page ends identical. Over-leverage plus overconfidence equals inevitability. Yet I deploy no positions. Patience is a tax few pay willingly, but I settle the bill daily. Cool October mornings find me visiting breadlines outside Bowery kitchens. Faces once lit by ticker lust now dull with hunger. I donate anonymously, redistributing fragments of panic's profits. Walking away, I taste ashes rather than triumph. Wealth without empathy ferments into bitterness, a flavor I refuse. Winter nears, I retreat again. Mind, body, capital intact. Notebook entry. Edge decays when markets dull, never force. I seal trading accounts with wax, spending long nights drafting essays on crowd behavior. Words flow, trades do not. An equilibrium I accept, trusting that markets, like seasons, bloom on their own cadence. Scene 17, spring 1931. Europe quakes. Credit Anstalt in Vienna collapses, sterling falters, gold flees. I dust off war-era currency models, sensing tectonic plates shifting beneath Atlantic trading desks. I short the pound through New York banks, stakes modest, leverage supplied by counterparties desperate for flow. Profit blossoms as sterling wilts like a banner soaked in rain. Bank of England secures emergency lines. Within days, the rebound claws back half my gain. 8 volatile sessions shrink victory to irritation. I exit intact, yet humbled. Skill surrenders to luck when volatility wears a crown. I chase recovery in commodity spreads. Short wheat, long cotton, logic elegant, execution ragged. Political jawboning whipsaws price, margins erode. Third, ruthless stop-out snaps ambition's tether. Ledger entry, anxious mind cannot sculpt precision. I halt trading, shutter screens, pivot to study. Weeks blur into lectures of self-inquiry. What hunger remains? Wealth sufficient? Legacy misted. I realize identity fused too tightly to the market's drumbeat. Absence of trades births a vacuum yawning within purpose. Notes accumulate. Psychological cycles mirror price cycles. Overtrading is relapse. I shelve account statements. Open philosophy texts. Walk riverside at dawn, listening to current instead of quotes. June's heat blankets Manhattan. Subway rides reveal faces dulled by exhaustion, identical to 1907 yet stripped of hope's last shimmer. Bread lines chalk symbols on lampposts guiding the desperate. I scribble field notes, price charts as seismographs of collective despair. Insight, money management is emotion management, position size and honesty gauge with oneself. September, I test a small long in Bethlehem steel, value argument, clear stop. Tape disagrees, I cut swiftly, praise discipline. Small loss feels like triumph. Notebook, edge regained through wise losses, not reckless wins. I recommit to sabbatical, channeling analysis into essays for academic journals. Critics applaud clarity. I value distance. Scene 18, July 1932. The Dow drags near 41, bones of a bull market bleached under merciless sun. The floor is hushed. Capitulation drained voices months ago. From the visitor's balcony, I sense a faint heartbeat. Short interest bloated, sellers exhausted. But I remain still, studying the inner landscape first. August's dawn paints Manhattan in pewter. I nibble at Dow Chemical, 0.5% stake, risk predefined. Price inches upward, no surge, just healthy pulse. I add slowly, position modest, joy in process integrity more than dollars. Lecture halls beckon. At Columbia, I tell students, design a rule that protects you from yourself. Their pens race. I see my younger self in their impatience and smile. Winter nears. Markets thaw. I ride select longs, exiting when headlines grow rosy. Gains modest, sleep deep. Afternoons in libraries, I catalog past panics, tulip South Sea railroads, extracting constants of human folly, leverage, narrative, denial, collapse, scapegoat, reform, forget. File under eternal. Year's end. Catskills cabin blanketed in snow. Fireplace crackles as I draft the manifesto Mind Over Markets, arguing edge equals emotional regulation multiplied by situational awareness. Closing sentence. Price is a question the crowd asks. Our response decides fate. Lanterns released over the frozen lake carry 3 words: patience, humility, adaptation, glowing, dimming, vanishing into night, reminding me impermanence births every new cycle. Scene 19, November 1940. A decade since the crash, yet scars itch under every suit. Markets revive, but my psyche oscillates between clarity and cloud. Marriage phrase, suns drift, newspapers weaponize my name, boy plunger, great bear, caricatures eclipsing nuance. Depression's fog lifts for the nation, not for me. Therapy sessions, mountain hikes, strict routines patch fragments of equilibrium. But nights stretch like unspooled tape, digits scrolling without pattern. War rumbles across Europe, headlines count tonnage sunk. I bet small against aircraft stocks, logic sound, emotions brittle. Trade flutters break even, but adrenaline exposes frayed wiring. Insomnia deepens. I pace Florida beaches, scribbling aphorisms on postcards never mailed. Mirror glass shows eyes aged beyond years. June. I form a charitable trust for orphan scholarships, a nod to the boys sweeping bucket shop floors. Gesture soothes briefly. A profile labels me legend lives quietly. It misses that quiet can be the storm's eye. Friends advise vacations. I return emptier. Journal scrawls, when the hunter retires, he must reinvent prey or face himself. Autumn storms lash Long Island. I pace the veranda, wind-stinging regret. Lantern flickers, candle gutters. I consider re-entering markets fully, knowing edge dulled, hunger warped. Another entry. Clinging to old weapons invites self-inflicted wounds. I close the book, feel darkness heavier than coat. For the first time since boyhood, I fear my own mind more than any market. Scene 20, February 1941. Mind Over Markets rolls off the presses, austere cover, white letters on obsidian. I inhale fresh ink, exhale a decade of tension. Book tour requests flood in. I choose halls where questions outweigh applause. At Harvard, I tell rows of bright faces, your greatest position is between your ears. Guard it with logic, humility, patience. Silence swells, then earnest applause. Back home, letters accumulate, farmers, nurses, schoolboys, thanking me for mapping the mind's terrain. I answer each by hand, practicing gratitude therapy. One envelope holds a broken gold cufflink and a note. Your words saved my house. I place it in a cedar box labeled True Prophet. June sun paints study amber. I draft 10 axioms for the next edition. Observe deeper, cut quicker, add slower, risk honesty, silence over noise. Patterns age, liquidity lies, ego deafens, patience compounds, purpose eclipses profit. Sign with initials only, relinquishing legend to lesson. Twilight drapes the garden. Roses bloom despite remembered winters. I stroll the path, lantern in hand, whispering creed. Markets echo hearts, heal the heart, trade clear. First star glimmers overhead, ancient trader negotiating darkness. I lift the lantern, let its flame flicker against night and vow, mind over markets, always. Subscribe to Discipline, confess in comments, share this creed.